Nintendo and wanted to become a Navy SEAL like a character in Resident Evil 4. He loves to read business articles, and his favorite movie is The Big Short, in which his favorite actor Kristen Bale stars. He wants to motivate you to learn about business because he truly feels that it is the greatest field of study anyone could possibly learn about after basketball, of course. So, Hani, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, Adnan. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. Hey, everyone. I'm happy to be here. We have half an hour, so we can't make it that interactive. I'm basically going to talk about the income statement and the balance sheet a bit. They're two very important statements that you have to know about if you're in business. What we're going to do is we're going to build an income. I'm going to tell like a story. We're going to build a very scratch version of an income statement using a story. And once we build that, we can go to a model that I've created and we can see how to actually use a business model in order to be able to know what your business looks like. If you set targets, what kinds of things you need to do to get the targets you want to reach. So I'm just gonna begin with, let me just see this. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen now. وينك يا عمي؟ مش عم بتبين، لحظة شوي. I'm trying to share the screen to show you the Excel that I'm doing, but it's not really working.
Are you on your PC, your
Yeah,
laptop?
yes. عم حط شير ويندو بس مش عم ببين الويندو تبع الاكسل، هاي مشكلة غريب.
If you could share your entire screen.
If I share my entire screen, then you'll see.
We'll see everything that you basically have
Yes,
on your screen.
I know. I don't want
Uh,
that to happen because I'm gonna be reading from a script. خلاص ليك I'm gonna share everything. It's fine. Okay. طيب. Okay. مبين عندكم؟
yes.
Okay, great. So
So
هو
بس you
ايه
open the Excel لأنه أيوة 100%.
اوكي ليه؟ انا حضلني عم بنقل بين this Excel و with a Word document, this one. I'm going to tell the story through this Word document so you can maybe read along. Then I'm going to move to Excel and I'm going to input stuff on the Excel. And then when we're done, should be around 10 minutes. Then we can look at the model which I built fully and we can talk about that. Then at the end, we'll have like 5 minutes Q&A. So it should be right on time.
Awesome, okay.
Okay, so basically, I want you to stage one here of what we're trying to do. I want to take you back to a time where there were no shoes. Okay, we're gonna create a financial statement to monitor the development of shoe production. Okay, very basic, but it illustrates all the important points. So imagine that you were at a time there were no shoes and you wanted to build something that's like a shoe. You're probably going to get some pushback from your tribe, even though right now it's like we can't live without shoes. Who's going to say shoes are weird? Back in the day, when somebody would have given them a solution saying, if you go mountain climbing without bleeding from your feet, it would seem like something impossible and something that is not feasible at all. So if you really, the lesson from this stage one here, inception and skepticism, is if you're really creating an innovation, like a true super innovation, people will likely look at what you're trying to do and laugh at it, thinking it was completely ludicrous. But you don't care as an entrepreneur. You say, you know what? I know this is something which is doable. You can all just stop talking to me. I'm going to try to do this. And this is where we come to stage two right here. A stage two in entrepreneurship, after the inception of the idea, you want to build your minimum viable product. and you want to get something we call early adopters on board. Early adopters is just a fancy way of saying early customers who are hardcore about your product or service or solution. But it is very important to get early adopters on because your solution is gonna uh, they're gonna look at your solution with much more detail than the average person would look at. So the biggest insights you would get are from people who are hardcore about your product, who want to use it, who've been looking for the solution, not people who are on the bench and thinking, okay, this is not that important, but I'll take a look at it. The most simple way of selling is really retail out of your house, if you want to consider your house a shop, or out of a shop in any mall center or something like that. So basically here, what I'm saying is you're the engineer of Shoemaker's Tribal. You are responsible for creating the product and all related marketing. So the first thing when you want to sell is you have here sales. This is your very first transaction. You're going to have sales here, and you have something here called cost of goods sold. Okay, this is very early on. Sales just means P times Q, which is price times quantity. And COGS is the amount you had to pay, it's the cost of goods sold, the amount you had to pay to produce a product, okay? Here we're gonna do the income statement. This is the income statement from scratch. The income statement is really looks like a budget, okay? That's what an income statement is. It's just a budget that tracks your financial activity over a quarter or a month. So usually the financial statements are done quarterly. So this will be Q1 2022. Okay, so you've made your shoe. Let's say the price of the shoe here, P, is $10, and you sold 100 pairs of shoes. So here you just get price times quantity, and voila, you have the sales. Cost of goods sold, it's a bit more complex, but I'll get into how we calculate it when we get to the end of this lecture. So now we did our first sale, okay? After our first sale, you do your first innovation, okay? This is where we're gonna start thinking about innovation, right? You're selling well and people are coming and buying from your store, but there's a target segment of customers that you had not initially catered to, and we're going to show them here. Hunters who are going around in the wild and trying to hunt for animals, they're complaining about snake bites. So this is a customer feedback reception that you're going to be doing for as long as you're developing a product or a service. You need to listen to your customers. Here comes the hunter saying, we're getting snake bites. So then you have to create a shoe that's covered all of your feet, so that even when the snakes bite, they bite the wood or they bite the cloth or something like that. And this is what we call here R&D, research and development, okay? Research and development, here we had sales and we had COGS, okay? Then here we have R&D, okay? R&D is research and development. Let's say you put in, like, let's say here the cost is 500, and you put in, let's say 500 of R&D. Well, as you can see right now, we fixed the first problem, that you spent $500 creating your shoes, and you put $500 into R&D, but your sales are equal to both of these. So if you remove these two from sales, you get zero, which is terrible. I mean, that's terrible to be at like the point where you're gonna go down into a lack of profitability. So one solution which I've written in this shoe production, advertising. So you've been doing well and you feel you have just enough money. So let's say if this is 400 for R&D, you have $100 more, and then you just go here, you do advertising, and you say $100 of advertising, okay? But when you advertise, more people know about your product, right? So when you do this, you can expect, let's say, to sell another 100 for a total of 200. Therefore, your sales go up again because of advertising. And this is a never-ending cycle. It's not a static thing. You should never look at an income statement as a static thing. It's dynamic. It changes every day, but you have to produce a finalized version of it once every 3 months to show your auditors external to your own company. Internally, it changes every day. So let's move on to stage 4. So this is an interesting problem that you'd get. So you're creating your product, and you don't have enough capacity to create as much as people are wanting. So the demand exceeds the supply. Through word of mouth, through advertising, you've been creating such incredible solutions. Hunters have been going into the wild and hunting, and they haven't been killed anymore by snakes. People are talking really well about you. So you hire your first employees, you hire a shoemaker, you do more advertising, you hire a delivery boy, and you want to be extra smart because you want to have enough capacity to handle even more demand. So you hire many more shoemakers, and you move from your shed to a retail store. You get warehousing to store your products, and all of that. So here you create even more expenses. You have here shoemaker salaries, you have warehousing, you have inventory, you have more advertising. Here, as we can see, sales starts with how much you're selling, and then you start deducting all of these costs from it. So we're building the income statement. This is section 1. We'll see it in the built model here afterwards. And section 2 here. Here we can say after the COGS and the sales, we call this gross profit. It's called gross profit. Plus this. Oh, no. Adnan, how are we on time? Adnan?
We're going منيح ماشي الحال.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is the gross profit right here. Okay. Then you have R&D and advertising. Let's say you just paid $5, $5, so we don't get negative. Over here, you say it's operating profit. It's a bit more complicated, but we're not going to get into the complication right now. Here, it's just the gross profit minus sum of all of these. This is the operating profit, okay? So we have the first line item here for the profit. This is operating profit. This is called cost of goods sold, or the direct cost. And these are operating expenses that are essentially your business, but don't go into the money that's being put into creating the thing you're going to sell. Okay. So then we can continue with the story. So here we said you made this big prediction that the demand was going to keep going up, so you bought all of these things to be able to capitalize on all the incoming business. At the same time, you aren't able to pay for all of this from your sales, right? So here you see the first thing you're going to do now is you get a loan from a bank. I know انه it's a bit التوقيت غلط يعني ما عندنا صبابيط بس عندنا بنوك انه there is a bit of misalignment in the realistic part, but it's just to illustrate a statement. Let's say there was a basic form of banking back in the day. So you need a loan from the bank to pay for all these things. And when you get the loan from the bank, here you get your first interest expense. Let's say it's $5. Okay, so you have to pay it monthly like any interest. At the same time, you feel you're doing so well that you want to register your company officially. And when you register your company officially in the tribal government, you get a tax expense. Let's say it's also $5. It doesn't matter the value. These are just to illustrate the point. And once you're done with all of this, you have here your net profit. Okay. That's the operating profit minus interest and minus tax. Okay. And you end up with $975. Now we're going to continue. We're going to come to the end of the story. Here we said, yeah, you pay your taxes, moving down. This is not very relevant to our model, but I'm just illustrating a point that you could make the best predictions and they could turn out completely wrong. And if you turn out wrong, that's a lot of money lost. So here we say After 2 weeks of operation, the demand has dropped. You have no idea why. There's no data to tell you why. And you've hired employees on 6-month contracts, and now they're just sitting doing nothing. And you've paid for warehousing and inventory, and you're not going to be able to sell any of it. This is a disaster for your business. So the problem here is that when you got all of the things that you got, first you took a loan from the bank, but there were even some people that you got business from, let's say advertisers or logistics and transportation. You told them, you know what, I'll pay you in 3-4 months. But you were expecting to be able to pay them from the sales that you were making, but you are not getting sales. So how are you going to pay them? You have to sell shares from your company to dilute your ownership control. You sell the shares and you get money in, and then you can cover all your liabilities. If this is a bit complicated, it's fine. I'll just put my email down on the Excel model. You can email me anytime you want. I'll explain to you what equity is, what the balance sheet, because we're looking mainly at the income statement. The balance sheet is really it's a different animal, but it's essential to understand. So here I'm just trying to say that this is many years in the future. Your company is a household name. You died very long ago, and you're in the position where you have industrial machinery to help you develop your product. And the only reason I bring this up is this is where we talk about depreciation. Okay, depreciation really comes in over here, right before the operating profit. Here it's depreciation. What is the purpose of this? The purpose of depreciation is to do accounting in a way where the entire expense of buying a big machine doesn't hit your income statement all at once. This is called capitalizing. I mean by that, let's say you paid $1,000 for a machine. Let's put it right here. Machine cost $1,000, right? If you put, let's say you know what, it's $5,000. If we put the machine cost right in the income statement over here in the operating expenses, your net profit would be negative. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Sometimes your profit is negative, but doesn't look good to the shareholders, to the board of directors to take a statement further and show that we have huge losses here, which can be completely avoided by doing a smart accounting trick called depreciation, whereby you're going to account for the machine over its lifetime. As in, during the first year, you put in $1,000 worth of machine, even though you bought it in one hit. In accounting, we put here first quarter, let's say 1,000. Let's say if it's 1,000 per year, then that's 250 per quarter. Here we're looking at Q1 2022. So over the next 5 years, the machine will be depreciated, and your income statement will still look healthy. It doesn't look like the net profit is negative and there's like a dip in the income statement. Anyway, this is just income statement 101. We're going to move to the built statement that I did. Does everybody see this Excel of the built statement?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, yeah. So this is really the most basic kind of financial model that you can make of the income statement. Might look a bit scary, but it's all very logical. And what I want you guys to do is, I'm going to be talking about the names of some things, and you should note them down and Google them. So the left side is the side where we input our drivers, and the drivers affect the values on the right side, except for the values within the olive green. The values in the olive green are our inputs. Everything white is output, and our targets to look at are in column N. Column N shows us here GP. This is gross profit. This is gross profit margin. Gross profit margin is just sales minus cost of goods sold over sales. Here we have the EBITDA margin. We're not going to get into that, but let's look at the operating margin. Here we have, it's minus 64%, right? Operating profit is operating profit divided by sales. Net profit has net profit margin, which is net profit divided by sales. These are the things we want to look at over here. And what we can do is we can do something interesting. Let's say we're going to sell Model 1, which is the mountain shoe, for $40. Okay, up, everything here changed. See, This was 7%, became 28%. This is minus 2022. Let's say, okay, we're gonna sell them for $60. Huh? Okay, wow, we got a bit down margin 0%. Look at our GP, 41%. What I'm trying to say is on the left side, you can see, okay, we want to sell 500. Sell 500, look, all the numbers on the right change, right? This is a mathematical model in business. This is the most basic mathematical model in business. My note might seem a bit much واكيد ما فينا بنص ساعه نقطع كل شيء. It's very logical. It's not all in the income statement. Like this work in process is not income statement, it's balance sheet. But without this, everything else wouldn't work. There are very serious reasons for this, which we don't have time to get into. I'll just take you through it here. We said there's sales. Always sales is top line. It's called the top line. And here net profit is called the bottom line. These are words you might come across if you're reading about business and talking about business. Sales minus cost of goods sold gives you gross profit. Then there's R&D and all of these other expenses. They get something called EBITDA. EBITDA just means earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Depreciation is, as we spoke previously, we're setting out the lifetime of the machine over several income statements. Amortization is just depreciation, but for intangible assets. So we're not going to get into it right now. Then we get depreciation. We end up with the operating profit, which is the EBIT. We subtract interest and taxes. We get net profit. So before we go to Q&A, I want to show you just a couple of cool things that you can do with this model. Let's say you want to target a 20% net profit, right? Your net profit is minus 79%. Let's say you want to target net profit of 20%. What can you do on Excel? You go to the data, and you go to what if analysis, and you go to goal seek. So here you see you set sell this to value of, let's say, 20% by changing sell price. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so this optimization showed that if you start selling your Model 1s at $106, your net profit will turn out to be 20%. 20% is quite good for net profit. For operating profit, 30 to 40% is good. Gross profit, 50 to 70% is good. You can press OK, press cancel. Now, another thing which is also interesting to use in the same spirit, I don't know if you've ever seen it in Excel. It's an add-in that you can get from File, Options, Add-ins. Here it's called Solver, okay? So Solver is like GoalSeek, except it can make you manipulate more than one thing at the same time. So let's say here we want to change the bottom line, and you want to give it a value of 20%, like here, 0.2. You want to change the price of Model 1 and the price of Model 2. So here you're manipulating two prices you're manipulating the price of 1 and price of 2. But that's not all. You can go to price. You can say we want this to be less than 50. You don't want to put more than $50 max on the price of Model 1. You add it. And then you go to Model 2 and you say less than equal to 150. Okay. And we have it here. All we have to do is solve. And it just manipulated these values right there to create a model that showed you, okay, if we want to put the price here, certain thing, price there, certain thing, we're going to get our 20%. So that's in a nutshell basic financial analysis with Excel. I'm sorry if this was a bit too much, but this is like, I don't know how less to talk about it. This is the bare minimum that you should be able to know. And like we can open it for a Q&A if we still have time for that, Adnan.
Yes, Hani, thank you very much for this realistic, even حتى مع scripted idea, it makes it clear وكمان إنه we could do all of this using Excel. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions, please go ahead. Just unmute yourself and ask your questions. Go.
Okay. Well, that's my email. حطيته فوق. إذا بين عندكم, it's hh212@aab.edu.lb. Just anything you guys want, you can email me after. So يلا Q&A.
Okay, we're gonna start with Emma. Emma, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. I just want to say something. Thank you so much for making finances more organic.
Yeah,
That was amazing. Thank you so much for this, for
great to
simplifying
hear.
it.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a question. So right now we're just trying, as participants here, to build up startups.
Yeah.
What should be the operating profits for the 5 first years of a startup for it to be considered as to be successful?
Like typically startups don't make a profit um, ever until very much later. Yeah, and even when they stop being startups and start selling on the public market, they're still that's not what people track on startups because the entire idea of startup is to raise money. And then when you're running out of cash, to raise more money at a higher valuation. It's not about operating profit. It's not about net profit. If you go to Wall Street Journal or any, you can go to something called the, if you want, اكتب لك اياها هون. شوف في شيء اسمه Edgar SEC. Okay. Scroll through Edgar SEC and you'll be able to find are the financial statements of the publicly traded companies. Okay, if you can find Tesla's financial statement, typically what you want to look for is something called the 10K report. Okay, it's there. You can figure it out. So you get the 10K report of Tesla. You see they were unprofitable even after they went public. Like they were selling on the public market, selling their stocks, but they still had negative profit. But they didn't. They had cash. That's what I'm trying to come across. This is something that my accountant teacher told me once, and I didn't understand it for a very long time. He said you can never survive. You can survive without profit, but you can never survive without cash. You tell me what's the difference. So there is a difference. When you calculate profit, you're removing depreciation, which is a non-cash expense. So when the net profit is not a fully, it's not a fully cash representative metric. في شيء بعد اسمه cash flow statement محكينا فيه. That's where we look at. We look at cash, real cash. We don't look at operating margin as startups. As startups, we look at the cash and we have something called the burn rate. Burn rate is just how much you're spending per month, and runway, which is how much money, like how long into the future are you going to go broke with your current burn rate. Okay. Once you get established and you make your first profits, which will happen way down the line, then you can say, okay, I want to optimize for profits. But as an early stage startup, that's not really what you look for. Which is the final thing. The final thing is, you come in, if you research, you'll find the same answer. That the models for startups, they're usually wrong, like unanimously wrong. And you don't have data, you don't have metrics, you don't have experience. You're basically putting up a model with assumptions, especially like the year-on-year growth, that you really have no basis to really estimate accurately. So don't worry too much about having a very 100% correct financial model. You can build something like the one I'm showing you just to see, okay, Anna, I want, let's say, what the investors will look for sales. Okay, they don't look at profit. This is another thing. They look at this one. So you can create a mathematical model and you can say, okay, Anna, my investor wants to see in the next year a sales of 20,000. For sales of 20,000, let's do solver to estimate our prices and how many we have to sell and how much material we will need to get there. And then you can create a strategy around that. So for a startup, don't look at the operating profit or the net profit. Gross profit is good because it's just your sales minus the cost of creating an item. But really, the top line is when you have revenue for a startup, that's gold. That's what people look at a lot.
So do you advise us to maybe use another financial statement than the income statement for a startup?
No, you can use the income statement, but you don't have to put in all the elements. Like I said, the income statement is just a budget. It's really just a budget. The budget شو عندك إنه we have $100,000. How are we going to spend it? But
okay.
So it's just a way to see in the future if you're gonna have sales targets from our investor, then we need to play around with the pricing. How much? Then you have to say, okay, maybe pricing is good, we need to sell more. But when we sell more, we need more materials. بهون كمان الفكرة عشان هيدي القصة كلها هون. This is balance sheet. It's not income statement. Like I said before, income statement alone means nothing. You need balance sheet to be able to understand your business properly. So we didn't have time to go into that, but you should look for something about balance sheet as well. And if you have questions, you can email me for sure.
Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other question? Anything they didn't understand we can clear up? Okay, if no one has any questions, Hani, thank you very much for this realistic and technical experience that you gave us on Jad. Very helpful and clear. أكيد في بقلبه أشياء technical. And again, if you have any questions, Google and you have his email. Thank you for that, Hani.
Yeah, my pleasure,
It was our
man.
pleasure.
Anytime. And I have to bounce. I have another meeting. So thanks for this.
Okay.
My email is right there, hh212@ab.edu.lb. Yalla, take care, guys. Have a good long weekend. Eid Fitr Mubarak. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Hello, everyone. So now we're going to go to Menti, stay a little bit longer to finish the Menti presentation. So, okay, go to menti.com. I'm going to share it in the chat. .com, and the code is 556899430. Can you all see my screen?
It's clear.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with a little bit of an energizer, as I like to say. Describe your mood this morning. So tell us how you feel this morning, because like I felt like some of you were overwhelmed a little bit during the presentation, but don't worry, it's super easy. We even like explained the whole process in the 7th lesson, feasibility analysis. We broke it down even to make it more simpler. So Hani explained like a little bit more of what you could chew, as they say, but what you have like to implement during this, exactly, how can I say this, during the submission for the feasibility analysis will be a little bit less than what Hani showed you. And it will be much easier, trust me. Okay, somebody's feeling smart today. Come on, what about the rest? We're not gonna move until you join, by the way. Again, go to menti.com. The code is 55689430. And by the way, guys, I want to tell you something before we move on. We're approaching the final submission, the pitching submission. It will be on the 20th of May. So basically, I want to advise you on not missing out, and tell your teammates also this, not missing out on the final session for the preparation for the pitching session, all right? So this is a very, very crucial session that everybody must attend, by the way. And yeah, that's basically it. So now we continue in the Menti. Sleepy, busy, entertained, optimistic, exhausted. Yeah, I feel that. I felt that one, exhausted. So let's go on to the second question. Where are you at right now? So as you know, we started the mentoring session. Everybody got a mentor now. Everybody got their own mentorship sessions. Yeah, sorry about this, everyone. I lost connection for a second. I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, window. Okay, can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So some of them are in business planning, some of them are in the prototyping. That's interesting. That's actually great. Like you're one step ahead, like of the others. After prototyping comes testing, by the way. So you can actually start if you want to test the solution that you're building. And I got lots of questions lately about something that if you must like implement the project idea that you're working on. No, we were not like forcing anybody to implement the idea. It's up to you, up to your team. If you want to like implement the idea, the solution that you're working on, you're more than welcome. If you don't want to implement it just like during this program, it's up to you. All right, just to clarify everything. So let's continue. So did you watch the feasibility analysis video? Okay, people are saying yes, that's great, that's awesome. Okay, that's great, that's amazing. Okay, so now we will move to the questions, the actual questions. So let's go. So I guess everybody joined. We need more people to join. Come on, guys. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry about this. All right. So the first question: what is considered a layer of feasibility? Financial feasibility, market feasibility, product service feasibility, or all of them? Exactly. So one thing about feasibility analysis, as we said, it's not we didn't specify which kind of feasibility. It's not all about financial feasibility. Feasibility, like it means if the idea is actually good to be implemented, it can work, it will like have an effect later on. So this is what feasibility is basically is. We have multiple kinds of feasibility. You have market feasibility. For example, if the market is actually, if this is the right market to target, if the market is gonna accept the product. So this is an example of market feasibility. You have product feasibility, if the product will actually work, if the product will have an actual effect on the people. So this is product feasibility. And finally, we have financial feasibility. Like, are we gonna make revenue? Are we gonna make money out of this? Actually, are we gonna be able to like succeed in the project later on? So these are some examples of the layers of feasibility. Now on to the next question. So what is not part of product feasibility? What is not considered part of the product feasibility? So ability to create the product, the desirability of the product, or if the product is cheap. Exactly. So product feasibility, if we can actually create the product, it's a part of it. So if we cannot create the product or the thing that we want to sell, the solution, so it's not feasible at all. And one more thing, if the product is not desired, as we mentioned before, if it's not desired by the people, so also this like there's no feasibility here. But if the product was cheap, the price of the product, this has nothing to do with product feasibility. It doesn't matter. Like you have the iPhone, it sells for $800. So what? People still buy it. So the price of the product is not related to feasibility, because each product has its own market. So it depends. Now on to the third question. Market feasibility is ability to access the target market, feasibility of tapping into the market, ability to reach out to the market, all of the answers. Exactly. So market feasibility basically is if the market that we are targeting will accept the solution. That's one condition of it. The second condition, if we can actually reach this target market, like can we reach it? Can we like deliver the product there? Can we help them solve the problem? This is all part of market feasibility. So the answer was all of the answers. Now on to the final question. So now, as you can see, we're doing a quick definition of everything. The income statement is the total amount of money you will make, income spent on tools for the startup, how much revenue you will gain. It's how much revenue you will gain. There's a difference between the total amount of money you will make and how much revenue you will gain. So revenue, as you all know, revenue is like how can I say this in a very simple way? The amount of money that we gain after like calculating the whole cost, everything. So this is the amount of money that we gain. The total amount of money, it's totally different. It's like you're saying, hey, I'm gonna say, how can I explain this in a very simple way? I don't want to like explain it in a very difficult way for you guys. So the total amount of money, for example, let's say you sold, as Hani explained before, you sold like 1,000 shoes. All right. So when you sell, let's say 1,000 shoes, and each shoes for $20, this is like $20,000. All right. But this is like the total amount of money you made. But the actual revenue will be much less, because you're going to calculate the cost of producing the shoes in the first place. You're going to calculate the cost of the people distributing the shoes, because people will be like selling these shoes to stores and you'll have to pay them, so this is like the main difference between them. All right, so now we move on. Let's see one. Congratulations, Emma. She was also the fastest. Okay. So please give us your feedback on how was today's session. Now I know it might be like it was a little bit like difficult today because when we're talking about like financials and all of that
Talking about
stuff.
technical stuff.
Yes, exactly. As Adnan said, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes, but trust me, you will get the hang of it once you actually start to implement it. Once you start to like try to actually work on it.
Exactly, and implementing it is easy because you'd be using an application that everyone knows, which is Excel, and the information explained in our module is very clear and concise. And what Hani explained is more of a realistic point of view that you may actually need when you are diving into an entrepreneurial journey. So, what you need for this particular project that you are trying to develop is less condensed or complex than what we explained during this session. But trust me, both of them are very important to know.
Yes, exactly. And one more thing, again, we're gonna start soon the third mentorship sessions, like hopefully after Eid. So after that, I'm gonna ask you to actually continue working on the program, continuing your progress, to be precise, so that you are well prepared, because the program will end in May 20, and you have lots and lots of time. So right now you presented the solution, you still have to present the feasibility analysis, and finally you have to present the pitching submission. So you have more than enough time to actually finish all of this. And again, if you need our help, you have our numbers, you have our emails, you can contact us anytime you want. And I wish you the best of luck, guys. If anybody has any question, please tell us, okay? Emma, do you have any questions? I guess not.
We could probably stop recording.
I stopped. Plaza. Okay, في Mala, I guess from my side. No problem. I'm trying to stop recording بس مش عم توقف. بعدها it's still recording.
طب إذا بنظهر بصير شيء؟
إذا بنظهر هو رح
It will
يوقف
get saved automatically.
It's
It will
gonna
get
say
saved.
exactly.
Yalla, okay, we're gonna all leave.
يلا
See you in the
باي
next
باي
session, guys. Bye.
باي